Oh,
years and
wow.
years ago, and it was the first job I had post incarceration that made me believe that I could have a different life, because I got to work for this big global company that had brown trucks everywhere, and I was like, they gave me a shot and I took it and I ran with it, and it changed. And I remember I had a mentor there, and it just changed my life. I went there, I went to Howard University. It just really changed and created a sense of confidence in me.
So what did you mean by post incarceration?
I'm formerly incarcerated. Incarcerated.
Oh, you were. Oh, I thought you meant because I had a regular 9 to 5 job. That was
Oh
the
yeah.
incarceration. Because that would apply also. Some of us go
Right.
home like this with the marks
Handcuffed
on
to the
our
desk.
wrists.
Yes. No, I'm actually a formal convict, right? So yeah.
Wow. Wow. Do you want to talk about that a little bit or no?
And now, here is singer songwriter, broadcaster, audio video artist, entertainment agent, and your host. It's the master storyteller himself, James Kevin O'Connor.
Hey, 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 it's a beautiful day. Another fine day and another fine episode on podcasting your global career. Do me a favor and send this show to someone who may need it, because after this episode, you will agree that this is a strong move to do so. Hey, we haven't had a coach on in a while, and I think it's about time. So this lady turns chaos into confidence. She is a chief confidence igniter. She's a transformative keynote speaker, an authentic selling alchemist, championing workplace confidence, a confident living catalyst, and a vision mastery strategist. It's time to strap up your seatbelts, because we're taking a ride today from the Music City out to Dallas, Texas, to hang out with Meshell R Baker.
And that's what we forget. People they want to, instead of holding and speaking like, okay, it's okay, this is happening, it's still going to be an awesome day, it's still working in my favor, amazing things are still on their way, I'm still having fabulous experience no matter what I see with my physical eyes, because my mind has conceived of success. And that's what most people don't do. They don't take the time to conceive what success will look like, feel like, and be like, so they get stuck in the current circumstance.
Wow. Are you a fan of Think and Grow Rich? You're saying, like, what do you mean? I am. I don't need the book, right?
If I could eat it, I would, right? I've read it so many times, I've lost count. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I'm in a mastermind and with women, and several of the women had never read it. And I was like, what do you mean you never read it? So we're reading it now, and we're on the chapter for auto-suggestion.
All
And that's
right.
their discussion later today, which is one of my favorite, that and persistence. But yeah, auto-suggestion is a topic that so few individuals ever even have a discussion or conceive the possibility that we get to recreate who we are, which will then change our circumstances.
We are speaking with Meshell Baker on podcasting your global career, and it's so good to have you here, Meshell, and be discussing these things. So funny. I just came off a 1 month of reading Persistence, that chapter, every single day for a month. And then I just completed the book in its entirety for I don't know, it's like the probably fourth or fifth time or something, because I had read it like 20 years ago or more, and then I was in a coaching program that this came to light with everybody, and I'm like, I got to go back again, and now I've been, it just doesn't leave my side, it has such new meaning because of all the past experiences I've had now, and I'm reading it with from the eyes of a much wiser man than I was 20 years ago. You know how you get the scars and you start to learn.
Right.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
it has a new depth to it.
it sure does. So I'm delighted that we have that commonality here. And I wanted to comment to you about your website and all of the things you do as a professional speaker. Really exciting. And can you share with us some of the highlights or some of the best events that you seem to thrive in when you go to speak? Like, where are your favorite sweet spots to be?
Okay, so most recently this year, I did and I'll speak of two, an SKO, which is sales kickoff, using those acronyms. It was for UPS. They had their national sales and marketing, their annual meeting, and I was the closing keynote. And that was so fun because I get to see the agenda and I get to hear and so I get to incorporate all the little bits of what was talked about, the deliverables they're looking to create as these sales leaders and marketing leaders, and just dial it home and have them have the concept that they are invincible. You are a global giant. Not to mention that I actually loaded trucks for UPS
Oh,
years and
wow.
years ago, and it was the first job I had post incarceration that made me believe that I could have a different life, because I got to work for this big global company that had brown trucks everywhere, and I was like, they gave me a shot and I took it and I ran with it, and it changed. And I remember I had a mentor there, and it just changed my life. I went to Howard University. It just really changed and created a sense of confidence in me.
So what did you mean by post incarceration?
I'm formerly incarcerated. Incarcerated.
Oh, you were. Oh, I thought you meant because I had a regular 9 to 5 job. That was
Oh
the
yeah.
incarceration. Because that would apply also. Some of us go
Right.
home like this with the marks
Handcuffed
on
to
our
the desk.
wrists.
Yes. No, I'm actually a formal convict, right? So yeah.
Wow. Wow. Do you want to talk about that a little bit or no?
It was just one of those decisions. I was raised in a very urban area. Parents were divorced. There was a lot of alcoholism with one of my mom's husbands, and there was just a lot of things that transpired in the household that just were not germane to little girls,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
it just shredded my confidence and my self-worth. So I just, went on that, living in an urban area, being raised in a certain way, I just became volatile and violent and just, abusive to everyone around me, which actually hurt me, which I understand now. We don't hurt other people, we actually hurt ourselves.
Right.
Um, and the blessing was that when I was 20, I was incarcerated, and I realized quickly that there was not a path that I enjoyed. Uh,
Yeah.
and so I went and worked, and I discovered that I was a really good worker. And from
S-
that, I started observing that people who stayed out of jail had jobs. So I kept jobs. So then the next question was, well, how do you keep a job? Well, the people who keep jobs are the ones the managers generally like. Observe, why do managers like people? Well, because they're helpful. Okay, I'm going to be the best, most helpful person on the so that became my determination, and that always led to. And when I tell people, it's this, the saying is cream rises to the top, and what I see happens is when you deliver excellence consistently, something has to happen for you, because you can no longer exist in the normalcy of the mediocrity that we're surrounded in. Opportunity must find you, and it always will. But people keep doing mediocre, basic, the minimum amount of effort looking for excellence. Excellence
yeah.
looks for excellence.
Right. Yeah. So let me just something an observation, if you will. Um, when you were growing up, it seems like you never had the opportunity to realize what a blessing work is until after you got incarcerated. Would that be a fair statement?
Very fair statement. It felt
Yeah.
like an
So
obligation. Yeah, it felt like a chore.
yeah. So that's the thing that God gives us, and when we have mentors who come along, fortunately that show us the way. Somebody asked me about this recently, and they asked about an experience I had in high school. I remember this wrestling coach. He was a phys ed teacher too, and he said to us, he said, "I don't care what you do. If you're a janitor or if you're cleaning a bus station somewhere, you do the best possible job that you can in everything you do in life." And that stayed with me my entire life. I never forgot when he said that. And then I always strive for excellence. So my question to you, Meshell, is how did you ascend to the place you are now through work and through high achievement, again, in whatever menial task, it doesn't matter. You wanted to be the best that you could be. So, what
Yeah.
was the first inkling you got that, hey, this is a path that is worthy and worthwhile of my dedication?
Oh, great question, and thank you for asking. So, I will say at some point, got my college degree, ended up getting jobs, went from finance to sales, and found myself in pharmaceutical sales and in device sales. And I owned a house and I had all of these things. I was absolutely miserable though. It was interesting. I had acquired what I thought I was supposed to do, right? I had a
Yeah,
fiance at one point because I'm like, I got to get married and got to have kids. And I'm like, gotta.
yeah,
And I realized that there was nothing, I wasn't doing anything that was meaningful and mattered to me. I was acquiring and achieving and obtaining and had accolades and was getting promotions and winning president's trophies. And it wasn't until I actually realized that I was still bitter and angry, right?
right.
I was only nice in pockets. Like I was actually like, I don't know if oh, I had an incident where one of my sales managers and I felt like I was being treated unfairly, and we started screaming at each other in a diner in Long Island, New York, and we were asked to leave. And I remember contacting someone, and they actually had me go, by right, you wouldn't even have that job because if I know you, and I do know you, I won't say who the person is, that
Yeah,
you probably didn't check that you were formerly incarcerated on that application.
right, right.
You're not behaving like this is a gift. You're
Yeah,
acting like they owe you something. When you interviewed, you did not tell them that if everything was roses, that you would be a good worker. You promised those people on the interview you would be amazing. And because you have not kept your word, you are not experiencing amazing.
wow. Well, you are a model of integrity, and it's so funny how God sends these incidences into our lives to teach us things. You ever had, and I've had tons of them where I've fallen on my face and like, what the heck? Why did I? And then it's like, oh well, this is why you're immature. That's why you haven't grown up, James Kevin. you know, and that's what happens to us. So when you first realized that this particular next chapter was happening to you, um, you had this epiphany, I'm sure, that said, "Oh, I gotta ratchet this up a couple of
Yep.
notches to
Yep.
to really walk the walk that I
Yep.
want to be, associated, known for." So it was that experience, and then where along the journey did it take you to the next level of ascension into
Yes.
the roles that you were having and experiencing now?
Yeah, so that experience had me dial it back. I was also a leader in a women's ministry, and I, fell on my sword and found out that I was misbehaving there. So I started looking out past my feelings and looked at what
Right.
the inconsistencies that I was generating, and as I, had that, come to Jesus talk, as they said, I decided and asked, like, I've experienced so much, and I really became humbled in the gratefulness of where I was and how I had done so well, and was sitting there having a little tantrum, right? And then I got clear that I would be people, in order to be who I would be called to be, everyone who came across my path would be better off for having met me. I made that decision and I haven't looked back, and it was hard. I mean, I fell on my sword so many times. I apologized to people. I said, you know what? Actually, I'm on a mission to be the best version of myself and be a gift to this world. I don't think you got the present. You don't look like you got a present right now. Can we
Yeah.
redo? It's amazing how many connections, how many opportunities started to be delivered because of that level of authenticity. And it stopped me from caring that someone would think something and just focus on being valuable, right?
Yes.
Whenever you're valuable, value has to find you. And that led to promotions. And then as I was doing well, my sister, who is disabled, became iller and iller at that point, or sicker and sicker, and she almost passed away. So I set a vision that I would relocate to Texas and be closer to them. And sure enough, got a promotion, got relocated to Austin. And as time went on, I just stepped into the role of being her aide, which I did when I had a 10-state territory and 80% travel, and then her illness and it was just a lot. So here she is happy, I'm miserable. And again, I go, hey, I know you didn't mean for this to be this way. You want us supposed to be happy.
Yeah.
What would you have me to do? And I met a woman at in the lobby. We were going to this conference, and I just thought she was stunning. And she was standing there by herself. I was with my mom, and we were having a blast. And I just looked, and I was like, I told my mom, I was like, I'm gonna go give this woman a compliment. And she's like, huh? I was like, we're having fun, girl, right? I just feel like I'm being called to give her a compliment. It turned out she was the director of a woman's networking entrepreneurial group.
Yeah.
Went, listened to the speaker. The speaker talked about purpose versus goals,
Right.
vision versus goals. I remembered in that meeting that 30 odd years earlier, when I was 13, I had 3 businesses and I had wanted to be an entrepreneur. And the loss of the things that happened to me in the household, becoming a difficult, rebellious rebellion, incarceration and post-incarceration, just wanting to be good, right? Just wanting to be good. I thought that if I did this, then it would erase everything, and just be good. And I found 30 years later, I found who I wanted to be. And I never looked back. I trusted. And that was in November of 2013 at that meeting. Never looked back.
So you discovered that good was not good enough. Greatness was in your future.
I discovered that this is who I'm meant to be. And I knew it was going to be a difficult, challenging journey, 30 years of being derailed from your purpose. And I also knew that everything else that had happened in my life, knew that it would be able. I always say, when God, universe, divine, Buddha, whoever you want to call it, when you're giving clear runway guidance for that, success is assured. You just don't know when.
Yes.
People get stuck on the win, the WHEN. I tell them, don't stop until you WIN.
Yeah. Oh, I got you. Okay, when versus win. Yeah. What is your sister's name?
Daphne.
Daphne. Wow, what a cool name. Well, I will be saying a prayer for Daphne for sure. Your coaching clients must love you, and the fact that you teach the esoteric, which I love, and very few people do. A lot of people do teach, the basic, a lot of fluff things, and I'm not pointing any disrespect at anybody, but the esoteric and the difficult subjects that people don't catch on to right away. It takes quite a bit of thought, and it takes perseverance.
Yeah.
And determination to crack the code of that, but it's what all the giants of the world have done. And I love your backdrop. For those of you on the audio, Meshell has these clouds, these purple clouds with a halo, and it says, "I have a dream." And we all know who said that. So we're in good company here today.
Yes, we are. He is with us.
Yeah. So tell me about some of your favorite coaching situations where you if you have a story you want to share where you got through to somebody, or surprised that somebody you thought you lost them and you got them back.
My
Can you share
God.
something
I
with
have
us?
so many favorites. The one thing I'm committed to is, so I don't do as much one-on-one coaching because I do more B2B work. And I keep those slots open for the women, especially. I've had a few men, but it's mostly women. Men call me, I love you, but it's mostly women who call.
Yeah.
And they are generally, because my commitment and my promise is, you do the work, you will have the habit of believing in yourself when we complete. Right. And I was like, what wouldn't you be able to accomplish if you believed in yourself? Right. And that's what we teach people all these steps and processes, just so people believe in themselves, because they'll figure out the steps once they believe. They become unstoppable once they believe. Yeah. Right? They don't have enough of that. So I remember I had one client, I was brought in, there was a mastermind, and someone brought me in as the featured speaker to talk about vision, about really creating a vision that becomes a life, that comes to life for you so you can stay on that target. And she had been one of my clients, her and her husband, right? So she had started her little mastermind group and brought me in to speak. And there was a woman in her group. It was probably close to, 18, 20 women. And I'm looking at all the squares, and there's one woman, her whole body is just shaking. She's just shaking. She just like tissue. You can't even see her eyes because she's looking down, and she's just wiping her eyes and blowing her nose, and she's just shaking. And she finally said something. She could barely talk because she was sobbing. And I remember we got off the call, and I stayed on with the person who was the host, and asked if she would be willing to give me that woman's number. I was like, and because she was a former client, she understood, and she gave it. And I called the woman, and she just couldn't talk to me. And I was like, finally, when she got her breath, she's like, I have a note on. I took so many notes from you. And right here, it says, I need Meshell. And so we ended up talking. Turned out she was a mid-30s Caucasian woman with 2 small children under 5. She had relocated to an upstate place where the neighbors had the driving distance kind of thing. And her spouse had left her. They had separated from her because she had relocated with him because of his job, but he had left her with these 2 small kids because he was transitioning to be a female.
Oh.
And so
boy.
not only was there not a lot of fund support, there's no place to get work, right? Because everything
Yeah.
is far away, and she's got 2 small kids under 5, and he doesn't even have time to really help with the raising of the kids because he's got to deal with his emotional transition.
Oh man.
And so
That's
she had never been to church.
wow.
And I'm like, huh? I literally was just like,
Yeah.
right? So with the gift I got from her, and she's been a client twice, because that was 6 years ago, and she came back a year and a half ago, and she's building a business, and we did her business, built a belief for her. So then we did legacy belief, right? But
Right.
within 2 months, she had written a vision for a job, and the place she was volunteering contacted her, and they gave her the job plus more that she had written out. She created it. So I literally was blessed to see that there's nothing that's impossible, that he exists in everyone, everywhere, and everything. And I tell people, he is not in a book in a building. He's not. He's in everyone, everywhere, everything. And our job is to find him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. I'm a member of the IFCC, which is the International Federation of Christian Chaplains, and somebody asked me the other day, and I get this a lot. Hey, where's your church? And I go, you see that car over there? I said, that's my church right there. I said, I really don't need a building. I have a guitar with me. I have my writings. I have a Bible with me.
Exactly. Exactly. So
I'm a little more
that was
flexible.
one of my favorites. Another one was an organization that was struggling with their business development people, just their employees in general. So they had me come on, and I did what they call an all company meeting. So it was online. It was during a snowstorm. So it was like that time where we had the snowstorm a couple of years ago. So, right, we had to reschedule a bunch of stuff, and I got on, and it blew them away, right? They were blown away. So they immediately brought me in to do all the leaders. And right, so I did a workshop training with the leaders. Leaders are transforming. The company is growing and expanding. So just this year earlier, they brought me in, and I did work with the whole company. So
Wow.
it's that, and it came from me speaking for 15 minutes at their company-wide meeting.
Wow. See, these little things, they seem to come out of nowhere, but they really don't. It's
Yeah.
like you said, you put your vision out there, you put the positive thought process into work, and it's not you doing the, heavy work going through space and going to get this. It's you're attracting the vibration, and it's coming to you,
Yes.
Hey, Meshell, and for those of you who want to check out Meshell's website, it is MeshellBaker.com, and that's Meshell. It's Meshell, so it's an easy one to figure out. Tell me what you like to do as we're wrapping up here when you're doing downtime and you want to chill out and just take care of yourself. What do you like to do?
Oh, so my favorite thing to do is crafting and sewing. So I'm generally doing something where I get to create. I like to see like fabric and glue sticks and shiny paint, and I just like to create things, and I'll do it in batches. So I'll say, oh, there's a holiday coming up, like Mother's Day or something. So I'll go and I'll imagine. I love to go to the craft store and just walk around and look at what is already created and think about what's coming up and the people. And I like the spark, right?
Nice. Yeah.
And then to create it, right? And then sometimes it doesn't go as planned, and so I have to edit or modify, but that's still fun. I love creating.
Yeah, that's awesome. As we're wrapping up, any last thing you would like to say to people out there who may be interested in your services as a speaker and or a personal coach? What could you say to someone to move them over the line where they're thinking about it, but they haven't quite committed? What could you say to them, Meshell?
Oh my God, what a great question. Well, if you're listening to me now and you're wondering if you want to have that conversation, I would say trust your gut. There's a reason why you've been prompted to think that this is a possibility, that have a conversation and see. Let's play it out and see what it looks like. The best thing you could ever do is have a discovery call with me, because no matter what, whether you work with me or whether I send you on your merry way, you will be better off for having spoken to me. My commitment to every individual that I speak with is that I will leave you better for that conversation, whatever that looks like. Even if I refer you to someone else, I still will indelibly imprint on you that the possibilities are infinite.
Awesome. Meshell Baker, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you on Podcasting Your Global Career. Thanks so much for being here today and imparting. I just want to wish all of God's blessing on you, your family, Daphne especially, and your career.
Well, thank you, James Kevin Connor, for having me. And it's O'Connor.
Okay.
This has been such a blast, and it's always fun to have that like-minded conversation. So this is the blessing. Like, if you guys ever get a chance to talk to him, please do. This was like a triple shot of espresso to the soul.
Hey, if you guys like what's going on here, please leave a great review in the Apple Podcasts. I've left a simple review process in the show notes, and we'd really appreciate it. And also, don't be shy. Forward this to your best friend because you know they need it. Hey, if you need some coaching, hit up the link in the show notes. It's calendly.com/Dharmic. And you can take a little chance with me, and I'll get you on your way. That's a wrap for me today. I'm your host, James Kevin O'Connor. So until the next time when we meet again, I'll either see you on the socials or I'll see you from the stage. Ride on, baby, won't you take a ride with me? Ride on, we can untangle all the mystery. If wishes were windows, I'd open one and find that freedom is really a simple state of mind. So ride on, baby, won't you take a ride with me? Ride on, we can untangle all the mystery. Ride on, baby, you and I can find the key. Ride on, we can unlock each other's destiny. I taste the breeze of freedom, it's tingling on my tongue. You and I out on the road will stay other's destiny. I'll take you places that you've never seen. I'll take you places that you never dreamed. I'll take you places that were pictures in your mind. I'll take you places beyond the reach of time. want you to tell